order to replace the traditional approach of managing an organization. The new managerial approach in the NPM is where the NPM are looking more towards the technique of management and principle from the private sector. Before, in applying the NPM concept where they can focus on the establishment of goals that can be measured quantitatively, the government has introduced the key performance indicator (KPI) as a form of accountability given to the employees for them to achieve and to measure their performance. The reason for NPM to focus on the private sector requirements in terms of management and principle is because the private sector has been implementing the KPI several years ago, way before the government decides to do the same in order to have better achievement in the terms of achieving KPI goals and improve the service delivery system. KPI is an accessible performance measure that is used to determine an organization's long-term goal. By applying KPIs, it allows the government to have proper strategic planning and operational management that could help them easily achieve their objectives and make better decisions, especially in tackling an issue rising in the organization. The KPI is aiming to boost the performance of the civil service to align the efforts in improving the public service delivery system to assure the public that the government is carrying the element of integrity and accountability of good governance.
KPI has been widely used all around the world, which include Malaysia as well, as an effective performance monitoring techniques in numerous industries. Even KPI provide many positive impact towards measuring the performance level. However, there are also problems that arise due to some complication to achieve the objective and aim of the KPI program, which is related to the issue of accountability. The issue of lack of accountability in public sector continue to rise owing to numerous obstacles such as unrealistic and unachievable KPI. Unrealistic or unachievable KPI frequently result in employees struggling to meet the state targets. They even spend a significant amount of time and effort to fulfill the demands of the employers, which give rise to the issue of occupational stress. According to a news report published by Malaysia, it is stated about the failure to meet KPI targets at University Science Islam Malaysia (USIM), which lead to the termination of lecturers' contract. Failure to meet KPI targets by contract lecturer was one of the reasons that led to the employment being terminated, since none of them failed to do research or public journal, which are included in the work task for performance. According to the report, USIM lecturers are experiencing occupational stress as a result of pressure to meet their KPI targets. This raises concerns whether the manager accountability towards the employee well-being is addressed well enough to despite the necessity of employee to meet their KPI targets, which causes them to feel stressed. As a result, in relation of NPM with the issue of occupational stress that occur among USIM contract lecturers is that the NPM are not being applied well enough inside the organization, which make them unable to achieve the main purpose of the implementation of KPI program. Although KPI target to boost the performance of the civil service and to synchronize the effort in improving the public service delivery system to guarantee the public that the government is carrying the element of integrity and accountability of good governance. However, it is essential for the public manager to improve the roles in carrying out the program without forcing the employee to the point of stressing them with a lot of work that are seen to be irrelevant in order to achieve the KPI. Problem arises when the KPI program is seen as a pressure on the civil servant that increases occupational stress within the working environment of an organization.
Next, on the cost surrounding the issue, the implementation of unrealistic KPI in certain organizations may bring lots of loss to the employees as well as the organization itself. Therefore, the factors that have contributed to the surrounding issues of unrealistic KPI is the lack of care from the public managers in the public organization. The managers need to ensure that the organization is giving a reasonable KPI level to be achieved by the civil servants. It is crucial for the management to be aware of their employees' ability in reaching their level of KPI that has been set. Under this case of USIM, the public managers, which is the upper level management of the university, fails to understand the term of accountability and use it as a way to overwork the lecturers. In the end, the organization may fail to fully achieve any high performance level due to the fact that the employees are being burnt out. The next factor is the lack of monitoring from the government. It is important for the Ministry of Education to monitor the level of KPI that are implemented to ensure that all organizations are not forcing their employees to work out of their ability, which could bring negative effects to their health condition. That is why lack of monitoring from the government become one of the factors for the USIM management to implement unrealistic KPI towards the lecturers in the university. Another factor which contributes to the issue is there is no application of law that mentions on the implementation of unreasonable KPI. The country, or specifically the government, are being silent when it comes to the issue of unrealistic KPI, where there is no specific law that has been introduced to prevent this issue from being implemented in an organization. Thus, this issue might be ignored and there will be no justice served to the employees, where under the management in Islam, justice is very important to be served within an organization to ensure a successful management. Hence, it is very important for the managers to forward this issue to the government in order for them to make a new policy that addresses justice for the employees that face unrealistic KPI in their organization.
Without further ado, the first effects on the introductions of unrealistic and unachievable KPI by some organization in long term will lead to a failure in administration to serve the public. Some organizations in Malaysia go beyond their scope when setting a performance measurement towards the workers, as they put an unrealistic KPI and expecting them to achieve the standard of KPI set. This plan might work in short term, however in the long term run it will lead to occupational stress and extra pressure to the workers. It will lead to behavioral effect to the organization workers such as absenteeism, poor performance and feeling demotivated characteristics. If these types of negative behaviors are becoming the work culture trends in Malaysia organization, it can be considered that the new public management implementation in our country as a failure initiative, as not only our country not able to improve its service delivery efficiency, but it also not able to create a high quality skills worker. Secondly, the effect is it will lead to high turnover rate. Despite the NPM can bring success and improvement towards the public sector, however, it should be noted that it will also resulting in reducing the performance of the public sector if there are challenges faced by the government in developing a suitable performance indicators to the public organization. The reason behind this is not all performance indicators developed are suitable to be used by organizations. This is due to there's a lack of correlation between the established performance indicators with the mission, objective, and strategies of the public bodies. Aside from that, it is well known that some organizations in Malaysia interpret that the performance of an organization considers to be worthy when they can generate profit or provide service quality, even if it's mean to neglect the employees' benefit, productivity, mental health, and positive work culture environment. The last one is, accordingly from the paper, the existing law and practice in Malaysia provided many best legal options and the practices to protect the right and interests of employees as well as their health and safety in their workplace. However, through having long list of statutes in place but none of it mentioned the issue concerning the introductions of unrealistic and unreachable KPI in the organization. Even if there is existing law to protect the employee interests and rights, but in the long run, since there are no rigid statutes in place concerning on the issue of unrealistic KPI, it will lead this situation to be normalized by many organizations as there are no rigid rules and laws concerning the unrealistic KPI performance measurement indicator, which will lead to abuse of power by the employers and organizations as they put profitability as their powerful indicator to measure their company performance. If this issue is prolonged, it will eventually contribute to a greater prevalence of corruption in our country. So to simplify, if there is lack of applications of laws related to the unrealistic KPI, it would hindrance to successful implementations of new public management.
My name is Mary Darlen, and in this section we will discuss the ways to address the accountability issue in KPI. Firstly, managers' role towards workers' voices. NPM provides that managers have more freedom and autonomy to be in charge of personal matters of the organization. However, managers must be accountable to deal with occupational stress among workers while trying to achieve the KPI through effective communication with the workers. For instance, consultation, discussion, and meeting sessions with workers will enable effective communication. This can ensure that the organization receives reports and recommendations for the workers before continuing the KPI. This will be good for the managers to be able to handle the workers, which help to set the limits of the workers to prevent occupational stress. Hence, the managers must realize their roles to listen to workers' voices, to understand their interests, which help to develop a realistic KPI for the benefit of workers and the organization. Secondly, the organization should set up realistic and reasonable targets. Occupational stress is interconnected with an unrealistic or unreasonable target. An unrealistic and unreasonable KPI will cause a hostile working environment for the workers, which can cost their quality time with family, leisure time, and unstopped work at the workplace. A high-quality KPI must be developed by the organization to prevent the issue of increasing occupational stress among workers. Despite many challenges faced, the organization should strive on setting up realistic and reasonable targets through regular revising of the measures. Thirdly, the government should set up a special unit for monitoring and auditing. For instance, setting up a special unit to monitor and audit an organization's KPI. Thus, any organization is careful when drafting the KPI if it is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and within the time frame of the KPI. The KPI will be implemented realistically and reasonably, which helps to protect the concerns of workers, preventing the issue of occupational stress.
As an overall conclusion, NPM is one of the efficient and effective practice that should be used by all the public organizations as a way to govern their management system. All of employees play a very important role in organization to ensure a smooth management and administration, especially in the effort of serving the public better. Therefore, everyone is accountable towards their scope of work and job in the organization to ensure that they are able to achieve a high-level performance as a way to show the public that they are doing their work appropriately. This is why the implementation of KPI is also crucial to ensure that the employees are able to show a good performance for their work outcome. In spite of that, although the employees are being held accountable towards their KPI level in ensuring the effectiveness of the management in achieving their mission and vision, however, it is also necessary for the related parties of the management to make sure that they are implementing a realistic and achievable KPI to avoid any occupational stress and unwanted pressure to the employees.